Alright, I don't claim any copyright, but this is just being made to basically clear up some confusion that's happening on. So, yeah. This is the vid of Anonymous basically stating and telling everybody. He made this about Satanic. I think I had that. I guess I pronounced the name wrong, but basically, what you're gonna see is basically him confirming that you cannot trust any of the videos that are being promoted on the regular social media because that's actually controlled opposition doing it.
Well, this is going to be interesting. It's not every day Anonymous themselves makes a video about me, or at least a seemingly Anonymous affiliated YouTube channel. More on that later. So I woke up December 25th, Christmas Day, to find people spamming this video at me. I saw the title and I was like, damn, finally, some excitement in my life. So what warranted a 7-minute and 2-second video response to me? Well, a while back I made a video discussing what happens to Anonymous. Back in 2011, 2012, Anonymous was pretty big in the news, what with all the WikiLeaks stuff going on, so we were constantly hearing about their operations. But since then, or at least the past 5 years or so, we haven't really heard much about them at all, so that's what my video was about. Now, there were a few key reasons I discussed for Anonymous seemingly going dark. One being that a lot of Anons simply moved on to other things. They grew up, they had kids, got mortgages, white picket fence kind of a thing. Another reason being that after one of the main LulzSec members ratted out a bunch of his quote-unquote mates, many others might have gone dark for fear of being outed themselves. And the last reason was that the US election back in 2016 may have divided the collective just as well as it did the rest of America. There was a bunch of infighting and things just eventually kind of fell apart. So those were some of my theories which prompted this response from Anonymous. Okay, so I should be clear. This channel doesn't represent the entirety of Anonymous. Obviously, that's impossible. It's a decentralized collective after all. However, I also have no idea if this channel even represents any subset within Anonymous. There's simply no way to know. The channel links to a Facebook group with a decent amount of likes. They also seem to be big on spicy memes. The channel seems to cover a wide array of content with varying styles of production, so it may be being shared by a bunch of people. But anyway, for the rest of this video, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that this channel does represent some part of Anonymous. It's more interesting that way, at least.
Mr. Satanic, greetings and namaste. We are Anonymous. 3 months ago on September 11th you uploaded this video to your channel posing the question of where the Anonymous idea has gone. You remark how the news networks once loved the intrigue of Anonymous, but oh, I must correct you, we've always been blacklisted by the media who rarely credit us for the good we do, but rather only publicized demonizing headlines attempting to smear our reputations.
So I think this is somewhat true. However, I reckon this was way more true back in the days when Anonymous was mainly associated with trolling, as evidenced by the footage they just used, which is pretty old. If you do a Google News search for Anonymous, but restrict the dates to late 2015 to early 2016, when Op ISIS was a thing, for the most part the headlines are pretty factual, and if you read the articles, they're usually pretty objective for the most part. Though of course, if you whistle the results down even more and look for headlines specifically from Fox News, for example, they tend to overlook any good Anonymous does, but instead focus on over-reporting the negatives.
Though intermittently we did make the honor of 2012's most influential people.
Okay, so maybe I'm nitpicking here, but I just felt the need to fact-check this. Anonymous did make Time's most influential people's list in 2012, and to be honest, I'm kind of surprised they weren't on it for more years. I feel like they deserve more than just a footnote. But anyway, this Time magazine cover is actually fake. The image does seem to be doing the rounds on the internet, so I reckon it's a fair mistake, though I did feel the need to point it out. 2012's most influential person was awarded to Obama.
And were applauded for Operation Icarus and the Steubenville rape exposure. But even then the anonymous hacker responsible for exposing the rape was tried and convicted more jail time than the rapist.
Now sadly...
Hold on, before I continue this, people remember, they split off. So people who were once members of the Anonymous Collective split off. So chances are their work most likely, as you saw, how that dude who was once an anonymous member himself split off and started working for the FBI, the same enemy who's doing this. So it's pretty obvious someone would wear an anonymous mask who is working for the enemy. So, I mean, you're gonna see the confirmation as far as the media. And they're even saying any positive things that are showing up, like they constantly, immediately censor the mess out of it.
This is true. The anon who exposed this case was actually sent to prison for 2 years, which was more than one of the rapists. Now, this is obviously terrible. The idea that someone on hacking charges could get anywhere close to the jail time of a rapist is just insane.
That was our brother Derek Lowe's Tutter, who is now released but on strict supervision. Which brings me right back to the answer to your question. Many of the core hackers you were following back in 2012 have been arrested one by one. And since then, many more have been taken down. We may have lost some key players, but this does not mean we lost all of our good men. And while true, Sabu also caused many Anons to withdraw from the collective that year, with fears that Hector would rat them out. But nevertheless, this has never stopped us. Following Sabu's arrest, 2013 was still a very aggressive year for Anonymous and onward. To address some of your theories, yes, many of us have gotten older and had children, have gotten married, and made new lives for ourselves. But those few I have mentioned still make time for us on their off days in Operation Death Eaters, as well as anonymous pedo hunters.
Okay, so this is pretty positive. If pedo hunting becomes something Anonymous can gravitate towards, then I reckon that's a good exercise to help rebuild the movement. While Anons may disagree on politics, I would think outing pedos is something all Anons are going to be pretty happy with.
They may have gained more responsibilities in their life, but they have not forgotten their responsibility to finish what we have started. For if we fail, then it is their own children who will be enslaved, and they know this. So it keeps them glued to the cause. Another worthwhile mention is that a lot of Anons have gone completely off-grid and are building solar homes with gravity-fed well pump generators. They're preparing for the worst of our total complete failure, as you should too, because time is running out. Some of our best Anons are just about finished with their off-grid fortresses. This is a big reason for why Anonymous as a collective has slowed down. We're preparing for total collapse, and many do not want to risk wasting time anymore.
I'm not sure I buy this to any great extent. Whilst sure some Anons may be preppers, I really don't think
He might not be. Now, here's the thing. Satanic might not be aware of a lot of the stuff that is really going on. That may be why he can't buy too far into what Anonymous is saying to him. As far as us TIs, we have experienced a lot of the stuff, and we have seen a lot of the stuff that is happening. We're aware of this and how dangerous the situation is. I have a feeling that Anonymous knows of this as well as the collective, the real collective, not the enemy imposing against them. I'm in no way, shape, or form against Anonymous and their work, but at the same time, I am not backing the people opposing as them to basically smear all the great work that they have done in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty certain that they are well aware of what targeted individuals are going through.
a significant part of the movement has dropped off purely because they've gone to live off-grid. I just don't see any evidence for that.
But regardless, the remaining Anonymous have not left or gone anywhere. Satanic. A lot of them run our social media sites. We have admins working under this channel who worked with original Lulz Sec members and still keep in touch with Jeremy Hammond's mother. We have admins who still hack and deface government websites. We work very closely and still have good relations with the Binary Watcher, Anonymous Troll Hunters, Hunter Unit, and Anonymous Victoria. We all may branch away, but we eventually come back together. Because together is where we are most powerful. Troll Hunters, Hunter Unit, and Anonymous Victoria. We all may branch away, but we have homes with gravity-fed well pump generators. They're preparing for the worst of our total complete failure, as you should too, because time is running out. Some of our best tenants are just about finished with their off-grid fortresses. This is a big reason for why Anonymous as a collective has slowed down. We're preparing for total collapse and many do not want to risk wasting time anymore.
I'm not sure I buy this to any great extent. Whilst sure some Anons may be preppers, I really don't think a significant part of the movement has dropped off. Purely because they've gone to live off-grid, I just don't see any evidence for that.
But regardless, the remaining Anonymous have not left or gone anywhere. Satonic. A lot of them run our social media sites. We have admins working under this channel who worked with original Lulz Sec members and still keep in touch with Jeremy Hammond's mother. We have admins who still hack and deface government websites. We work very closely and still have good relations with the Binary Watcher, Anonymous Troll Hunters, Hunter Unit, and Anonymous Victoria. We all may branch away.
Okay, those are the ones that are mentioned. The one that we saw earlier are not one of those ones that are mentioned, okay, everybody? He didn't mention them. So they do have people on main social media that he is telling everybody that they work with. Just a few to name off. Now, as far as this situation goes, once again, there is a lot of manipulation. A lot of manipulation and a lot of infiltration and a lot of divide and conquer going around. Eventually, we're going to find out where the real truth lies. That's going to happen. But until then, we have to stick together. We can't allow the divide and conquer to break us. Otherwise, if we do, there's no hope, man. But you know something? There really is hope. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But I have more than enough confidence that everybody has the ability to make change. But this situation is getting really out of hand to where, it's a difficult situation because, like, at the same time, people are being controlled and manipulated on the grid. And then you do have people out there who are willing to show the truth. They do, but people are just so far conditioned down to where it's a very difficult process. And I'm pretty certain that's what the actual collective is well aware of. That's the issue we're facing. To literally show the truth in people's faces, only for them to turn away from it and pretend it doesn't exist. That's the problem we're facing. But I am in no way, shape, or form out here to discredit any TI. I just want that to be known.
But we eventually come back together, because together is where we are most powerful. But it's become increasingly difficult to stay together with all of the infighting. Launching cyber attacks in the post-net neutrality repeal era presents a challenge. Now many Anons who aren't hackers are losing their anonymity with the enforcement of mandatory two-factor authentication security on all major social media platforms.
Okay, so this is an interesting point, and to be honest, I've never really thought about two-factor authentication in relation to privacy, but it seems so obvious. Obviously, by handing over your phone number, you are, in effect, leaving a pretty solid paper trail right back to you. Food for thought.
Knowing the stakes, so they give up risking being watched and caught, and spend their time where it's most valued. Another smaller reason for the decline of Anonymous is that we lost many of our street activists due to their tragic deaths. You see, it's been a process. Between censorship from major media platforms thwarting our view reach, to the loss of life with...
Okay, so I felt the need to do some research here in relation to these deaths, and just so people are informed, the deaths themselves don't seem to be related to any anonymous operations, but are all tragic in their own right. Now, I just felt the need to point that out so we don't get any conspiracy theories in the comments as to how these people died.
Time, Anonymous has been leaping over hurdles, and this has deeply hurt all of us. So, Mr. Satonic, we'd like to take this opportunity to redirect your misguided idea of where to find new anonymous content. Please do not rely on mainstream websites like Wikipedia, Fox News, CNN, or even your Anon News on Twitter. We do not report to any of these sources.
So this is a fair point, though the reason I had to default to mainly using mainstream media when I did the research for my previous video is that Anonymous, by its very nature, is pretty difficult to investigate, given the whole decentralized thing. Though if I remember correctly, I only really used mainstream media articles to act as reference points, and a good number of the mainstream sources I used were actually interviews with Anons, which is the closest I was ever going to get to any semblance of first-hand reputable accounts.
Although your Anon News has been very loyal to the Anonymous creed, they are not our central mouth or source for anonymous operations. Neither is any website claiming to be our headquarters or officials of the Anonymous idea. Anonymous is a darknet hacking organization. As you know, hacking is a Class B felony. So you won't find any of our plans or contacts with a simple search engine.
See that? Google. And where is that to the far left? YouTube. They do have people using YouTube, right? But you got to remember, there are also some members who they had amongst them. They already had one of their own that defected, and then during between the whole issue with both 2018 and 2019, there was a lot of confusion going on. So don't think that Anonymous, the real Anonymous, is basically defected, because they did not.
To follow us, you have to be directly involved with us. We have no headquarters or news networks, so understandably we won't publicly give a contact here on this video, to keep our low profile. But if you're interested in getting involved with us, then send us an inbox at the social media link on our channel, and there we can direct you to an encrypted chat. We're seriously interested in working with you to help revive the public eye on our work. As it is apparent anything related to us is heavily censored on Facebook and YouTube, we can tell you from experience that they really want us to disappear. But we will not. The future generations deserve to know who we were and what we were fighting for to give to them. 2020 will be a year of renewal. Thank you for remaining a believer. We're looking forward to connecting with you, Satonic. I'm glad we could finally make an acquaintance. We are anonymous. We are legion. We can forgive. But we shall never forget. Satonic. Keep expecting resilience from the collective.
Okay, I could play the rest, but it's most of the parts that I wanted you all to check out have already been shown. So as you know, there's a lot of confusion out there, so it's definitely, to be known about that. But I still did my part in showing that evidence. I could have just as well not have done it just as well as I did. The like was just a simple mistake, a misunderstanding, and it was a mistake. If I had known what was originally said in that video prior to me playing it, I would have not have left that. I would have never even liked that. I would have never even left that like there. I wouldn't have. But again, despite that being said, there's no denying that there is infiltration into the TI groups. There's no denying that. There's no denying the manipulation. There's no denying any of that. And everybody is laced with this nanotech. This stuff has manipulative properties to it. These people are using these DEWs on all of us on the daily. Some TIs may not be experiencing this, but that doesn't mean that they're not just as at risk as anybody else from being attacked with these either, And this is the video of which I was originally expecting. Now, this one I actually found with the guide channel. So that's why you don't even see me subscribed and you don't see the like there. This was several months ago. Prior to now, and what I was researching, it was just a common misunderstanding and mistake that I made that I wish to correct.
Greetings, citizens of Earth. We are anonymous. This is a message to all who are harassed and persecuted by corporate or other institutionalized, cult or culture-related fashion.
Hold on, before I even play the rest of this, pay attention to the date. That's December 6, 2017. That's around the same time where Anonymous was basically going to war with Antifa.
Fascism. You are strong. You will survive. Your spirituality, your philosophy, your intellect and your politics will triumph. Your persecutors are trapped in a realm of shallow aesthetics, immaturity and hate that stems from their guilt. They have normalized themselves into the culture of cruelty and in their cowardice have positioned themselves for a place in corrupt, captured and decaying systems. But like all tyrannical and fascist actors, when their time and position is over, they will be hunted by justice. We will use their reparations and assets to build a new global economy for the people on the planet. If you are one of the persecuted, you are perfection. Your existence is a reflection of the flawed perfection of the universe. It is not always easy, but we must seek to build bridges with other marginalized groups. The UFO community are the ultimate intellectual untouchables. They are laughed at, ignored and derided by all official public channels. But does this not sound familiar if you are one of the persecuted or the harassed? Their circles are full of disinformation, revelation, paradigm-shifting perspectives and claims that are often difficult to prove. But does this not sound familiar to anyone who is persecuted or harassed? This particular faction of Anonymous would like to encourage the esteemed public dissident journalist Chris Hedges to at least meet and speak with Black Budget, U.S. military and UFO historian Richard Dolan. Both of these writers, speakers and thinkers together could compare notes that would be of benefit to us all. We also encourage these two writers and public speakers to examine the mechanizations of persecution and harassment that are unique to our era. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
And there you have it. That was the one of where I was assumed, I shouldn't have assumed. I shouldn't have, because it was my mistake doing that. Because, when you assume, it makes both an asshole out of both you and me. I know that. Man. But, yeah. When you assume, it makes both an asshole out of you and me. And, yeah. Man. It is a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's just getting even more and more crazy by the minute. I tell you. Anyway, it's about nearly 10. Normally I would start up a live stream, but I think I'm just gonna try to get some rest. Cause let me tell you something. I've been beat down badly today. Pretty damn badly when I went out. 8,000 levels of radiation. You can even check at the live stream and see it for yourself. Ever the people who were tuning into that witnessed it. Man. And even now, the whole point as to why they're attacking me this badly is primarily because of that damn barrel that I made. But I'm not mad about making that at all. Not even the slightest. I don't regret doing that at all. I don't regret the information that I shared for TIs to help them out, to get them free off this grid and off this damn tech. I don't regret any of that. But at the same time, these channels were not made whatsoever to discredit a TI. They were not made to shame any TIs. This was not the intent for these channels. It's only to defend those who are being discredited. But at the same time, we gotta be mindful that there is infiltration going on. That is an actual thing. I'm not the only one who's witnessed this. Several other people. The only difference is I'm willing to just acknowledge that that's happening. The people who are responsible for the infiltration will eventually be weeded out over time, and that's all there is to it. But despite that fact, I still intend to continue to help fellow TIs. This is me doing my part to basically clear up the confusion. If I offended anybody, you have my apologies. And with that stated, I bring this video to a close. If you want the links, they will be in the description.